ceremony of the great class of 2026 of Berkshire Waldorf High School. I'm Steve Staggering, teacher at and director of the school. Thank you so much for all being here and for the support and love you have shown these graduates as we celebrate an important milestone, a rite of passage for these young human beings. Behind me from your right to left are our board chair, Teresa O'Brien, today's speaker, Avia Stanton, and members of our core faculty, Jeanette Brossard, Michael Cobb, Catherine Dufault, Katie Fowley, Ed Hamelrath, Susan Hutchins, Kendall Schaefer, and Samantha Steele. Immediately following the ceremony, please join us. Immediately following the ceremony, there will be a reception line right outside the church. Please congratulate the graduates and then head over to the second floor of the school for a reception and some cake. Please silence your devices. The class of 2026, with 15 students, holds a noteworthy distinction. They have pulled more pranks, almost all good-natured, amusing pranks, than any class in our school's history. Here's a modest sample. Unwittingly, I drove around for a week with a student driver sign on the bumper of my car. While I was showing a group of Korean students around a museum in Boston, one of the current seniors convinced me that the Stockbridge police were trying to get in touch with me about a rogue student roaming the streets of Stockbridge wearing a tutu. I can't believe I fell for it, but I did. It was too believable. And I'm gullible. Sneaking into school at 6:30 one April Fool's morning, they moved every desk and table into one room of our old building, creating a maze from door to door. They also filled the restrooms with all of the student art and AV equipment in the building. Admittedly, I helped them with that. One evening, as I was at the school for a deep study of Steiner's book called Philosophy of Freedom, they crashed to sing us Christmas carols. One week this year, the teachers and I found blinking surveillance cameras on the ceilings of one of the offices and the teacher's room. Fortunately, they were fake, although it took us far too long to figure that out. The seniors obtained the password easily to the school's network and periodically blasted music from the speakers on the second floor, or started playing videos in random teachers' classrooms. Other pranks I'm not mentioning. There's even some disagreement about what constitutes a prank. There are pranks, and then there's just what is plain old tomfoolery. Of course, not all students in this class are pranksters, and for that I thank them. And I also thank the students who did participate in pranks. Pranks show lightheartedness, creativity, initiative, trust in their community, and other good things about these young people in our school. Waldorf education is often described as an education of head, heart, hands, and humor. Okay, I added the humor part just for this class. But Rudolf Steiner did speak often about the necessary value of humor for teaching adolescents. If you can't laugh at yourself, teenagers will laugh at you for you. The class of 2026 is very good at this. The class of 2026 also has some of the smartest heads, biggest hearts, and most talented hands of any class we've had at our school. At their senior recognition night last Thursday, we heard from Beatrice, Daisy, Basira, and Forrest about work in scientific research, medicine, political advocacy, and computer programming. We heard from Colton, Jasper, Julian, and Fisher about different aspects of truck and auto repair and restoration. And we heard from Fiona, Lisi, George, Rosie, August, Jean-Edmond, and Clara about their work in screenwriting, animation, interior design, hospitality, genealogy, art, and music. The range of interests, skills, and accomplishments in this class is remarkably broad. I know my colleagues join me in saying, we can't wait to see what you become when you grow up. I mean, in the future. It is a tradition at our school not just to have one or two speakers, student speakers, but to hear from every one of the graduates. Today they will speak in reverse alphabetical order, and I will then introduce today's speaker, Avi Stanton. It's your writing source, your turn.
Dear Ms. Stanton, Ms. O'Brien, Dr. Staggin, students, teachers, trustees, parents, friends, and classmates, thank you for coming today and seeing the class of 2026 graduate. I know for some of you, you probably didn't have a choice to be here, because I know I didn't. For my class, it's a bittersweet day. We're going to miss high school and seeing each other on the weekends and hanging out outside of school. We're all going off and starting something new, away from each other. High school, looking back, seems short. Last year especially seemed to fly by. Probably, for some of us, we wish we could stay this way. Young adults with lots of freedom, but still have the safety and structure of home and school. Deep down inside, we know it's time to leave, go off to college, continue growing our business, or start work. So thank you all for coming out to see the end of our high school careers and the start of our adult lives.
On my first day at Berkshire Waldorf, midway through 9th grade, every fear I had about being the new kid vanished instantly. My classmates were so welcoming that I hardly felt new at all. On my first day, I had already been caught up on inside jokes and witnessed Ms. Ornstein making the boys run up and down the hill by the old school because they had too much energy. And I got to experience a mini Mr. Sagrin crash out because I didn't know how to do my cleaning job at the end of the day and didn't put paper towels in the bathroom. Oops. I went home that day and said to my parents, I love my class. Since that day, I've never once doubted my first impression. My class has brought chaos, fun, and of course tomfoolery to every day. I will miss every moment we've spent together, from spending lunch breaks testing the speed limit of the spinny thing at the Stockbridge playground, to cooking hot dogs on the hot plates in 10th grade math class. I will miss competing to make the best map of a fictitious triangle in surveying, although my team lost, which was completely unfair. Making our map of a very Waldorf wonderland was a highlight of 11th grade. I will never forget making a full breakfast of pancakes, eggs, and bacon on our last day of 10th grade English class, or another memorable breakfast of pancakes and bacon cooked on a fire at Camp High Rock a couple hours before sunrise. I'll miss our time at Hermit Island, where we spent late nights racing each other to the beach to wade in the icy ocean and stare at the stars above us, shouting to each other over the sound of the crashing waves. I'll always remember Julian setting this part of the school lawn on fire with a homemade rocket engine in 9th grade. Crabbing on Hermit Island, and the countless hours Bea, Lacey, Fiona, and I spent in Fiona's basement making a 2-scale model of the Creel house from Stranger Things for History Through Architecture. I will miss each of my classmates so much, but at the same time, I know that we are going off to do amazing things. I will cherish every memory we've shared together, and I am endlessly grateful to have been part of such an amazing class. I would like to thank my family for always being there for me. A huge thank you goes to all of our teachers who have dealt with us every single day. To my class, thank you so much for being the reason I've had so much fun in high school. And finally, to you all for coming here today to celebrate my class. Thank you.
I have a bit of a cold, so you might hear my voice. Hello everyone. I joined the Berkshire Waldorf High School in 11th grade, so really not too long ago. I remember my first visit. It was around the time of the spring play. My parents drove me to Stockbridge, and I genuinely had no idea what I was walking into. I got thrown right into the school day with everyone else. I recognized a lot of classmates from the lower school, but everyone seemed so much older now. A lot had changed since I had left in 6th grade. Everyone was welcoming, and pretty quickly I started to feel normal. Now that it's been a couple years, it's hard to think this place ever felt unfamiliar. Even with the new building, it feels like I've been here forever. I'm really grateful for my class and everything we've done together. The Hermit Island trip, Maine, couch surfing, spike ball, microwaving things, the jokes in class, ranking Sagrin, going to the city, tomfoolery, and Klondike bars in the rain. These last 2 years have been a lot of fun. I've made new friends, tried new things, and grown so much. And now here we are at the end of the school year. For me, finishing this year and thinking about what comes next feels a lot like that first drive into Stockbridge. A new place, a new road, being not quite sure where anything is yet. And I believe that whatever comes next after today, whether you're off to college or not, it might feel like you have no idea what you're doing, until suddenly you do, and you can't imagine it any other way. Thank you to my teachers and parents for everything you did for us, even when you didn't make it easy, even when we didn't make it easy. And thank you to my class for making these last few years something I'll actually remember. I can't wait to see where you all end up. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Mohan. I joined Berkshire Waldorf High School in December of 2024. Even though that means that I've only been a part of the school for just over a year, I am so appreciative and thankful for the opportunity that I was given to join this class. I'm a class full of amazing people whom I've been fortunate to call my friends. Together we create a string of light that wraps around us and carries us through these great memories, a few of which I'd like to share with you today. I remember when Fiona pulled a prank on me by calling Dr. Sager and pretending to be a police officer. She told him that a boy with a buzz cut wearing a tutu was wandering around the streets of Stockbridge. Somehow that led me to getting called into the office to explain myself. The funny part was that I was just so confused as Dr. Sager. The only thing in the story that was actually true was that I had a buzz cut. I remember Jasper and I printing what were allegedly hundreds of flyers for our joint removal business on the faculty printer and using up all the coloring. I remember leaving my car overnight in the faculty parking lot while August, Fisher, and I attempted a full brake job in the rain under a broken streetlight. Looking back at these memories might seem random, but together they represent what made this class and this school so special to me. That is why I believe this is more than just a school where you're taught curriculum and given a grade. It's a place that gives each one of us the time and space to discover who we are and who we want to become. Berkshire Waldorf High School is what a school should be like, and it has truly been an amazing experience for me, one I will never forget. The opportunities that I've been given and that I have in front of me are endless. I'm forever thankful to every single person who made this remarkable school possible. Every teacher, every board member, and every family, and everyone who believed in this school, you believed in each one of us. And right now you believe in me, and that is something I'll never forget. Thank you. And to the class of 2026, thank you for letting me become part of your story. The string of light we create together is something I'll carry wherever I go.
Hi everyone, my name is and I've been at the school since freshman year. Firstly, I want to thank all of my teachers. Every single one of you has helped me grow by sticking with me and answering questions, even in the most inconvenient times. I want to thank my parents for supporting me to pursue my interests, even as they changed over the years. And my siblings for picking up the phone to answer all of my silly high school questions. Last but not least, I want to thank my class. To do so, I wrote a sort of letter to you guys. So here goes. We've done so much, it's hard to compile all of our stories. To put on paper the lives we have lived. We are a farmer, a mechanic, a writer, a doctor. We are a class. But where do we start to describe what has happened? Perhaps we should start at the beginning. After all, that is what most people do. In the beginning. Yes, here we are. We raise our hands too quickly, speak without a fully formed thought in our head. One day, we decide a traffic cone looks awfully similar to a person. We dress it up in clothes, paint a face, wide smile and bright eyes. We name him Conan Traffica. He was a bit like us, starting a new life as we were starting high school. Junior year, we grew a bit. There were more of us now, which, if you can believe it, added a little more adventure to our days. Now we are older, that chapter we started is over, and a new one is about to begin. Today, we'll drive away from each other into something new. One of us will be working in a car shop, one in film, and one, unsurprisingly, in construction. We knew this would happen, because they have carried in dirt on our Carolina work boots since freshman year. In fact, Conan might still have a bit of dirt on him from us, A few of us are off to college, off to understand questions we were too distracted to investigate in high school. Even those of us who are off on different paths got distracted one time or another. After all, it's hard not to be when we're searching Facebook Marketplace for a sturdy and free couch to pull behind one of our trucks. As we sit on the couch, wind in our hair, life feels short in an inevitable way. Not because we could fall off on the dirt road at any second, but because we aren't sure how long we'll get to live like this. We've lived a full 4 years, full of danger, drama, and pranks. Maybe those moments will stay memories. Maybe when we sit on a couch or drive past a traffic cone, we'll just reminisce over the sibling-like connection we formed. Or maybe, and this is the ending I like much more, we'll ask how much for the couch we're sitting on, buy it, and come together as we did back then. I love all of you like siblings. Thank you for a wonderful 4 years.
Hi everyone, my name is Forrest Lemon and I've been a Waldorf lifer. So, this school has been the best Waldorf school that I could have hoped for, and it's because of both my classmates and the teachers that made it possible. To my teachers, I'm very sure we were a difficult class to teach, so thank you for doing your best to make even the most boring subjects interesting. And to my classmates, thank you for bringing me out of my shell. I always had fun when we hang out. Also, sorry I never went literally surfing on the couch for you. I just never had a good time.
Good afternoon, classmates, teachers, family, and friends. I guess this is it. We made it. 4 years down the drain for some weird piece of paper called a diploma. When I first walked into this building as a freshman, I was actually locked in. I did this strange thing called homework. I raised my hand in every class. I actually believed that if I just followed the rules and participated in every class, the world would magically fall into place for me. Those first 2 years, I actually tried. I stressed about late homework, group projects, and actually checked my grades in Google Classroom. But then I realized something about halfway through junior year. I realized the real outside world wasn't waiting for me to finish homework. It was out there, happening right now. So I was introduced to not caring about school anymore, skipping with my friends, Wyatt and August. We'd meet up in the morning with our laptops open, trading stocks while everyone else was in school stressing about tests and homework. We'd drive around for hours talking about all the big projects we wanted to do together. Then came senior year. I basically unofficially dropped out of school entirely. I stopped pretending like I even cared about school. I started doing stuff that made me money, was fun, fixing things with my hands, learning skills that actually pay off and feel real. I think I learned way more important stuff outside of school this year than I ever could have inside school. As senior year went on, I continued to fail seminars left and right, show up to school whenever I felt like it. Somehow it all felt normal and perfect. Cortisol was at an all-time low and happiness was at an all-time high. School felt like an optional side quest, and it was dope. I am glad school didn't expel me for the things I did. However, we did have some close calls. A huge thank you to all my teachers for supporting my weird and somewhat dangerous projects. To my parents for dealing with all my school adventures and supporting me all the way through. And finally, a huge thank you to the entire school for allowing me to spend so much time on my own interests and not expelling me. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends, family, and faculty. For my graduation speech, I wanted to steer away from all those cliches that you always think of when a grad speech comes to mind. You know, reminiscing about past experiences, saying things like, I feel like it was just yesterday, or recalling a specific memory from one of your classmates. But here I am, sitting at my laptop writing this speech, and all I can think of are cliches. So what better to do than throw my hands up and go all in and attempt to fit as many as possible into this one speech. Wow, we made it. It feels like just yesterday, I was walking into the big room of the old building, not knowing what the future would hold for me. And now, class, here we are, gathered at the end of one chapter of our lives with the beginning of another. As we're standing here on the doorstep of tomorrow, I can't help but reminisce about our adventures this year. From raiding Klondike bars at High Rock and throwing a pancake party while everyone else was asleep, to late-night tomfoolery on Herman Island and having to hide away from the teachers by hitchhiking in the back of some random guy's truck. We would blast music on the bus rides and almost never sit in the way we're supposed to, and we would always end up finding out that these trips do in fact have Wi-Fi. In all seriousness, however, these last 2 years have been the best 2 years of my educational life. I have been all across the board when it comes to schooling, starting at Hawthorne, then the Berkshire Lower School, then just skipping 2 years altogether. I tried homeschooling both at home and with a group, and then I finally stopped here. I reconnected with old friends, as well as making a bunch of new ones. And best of all, I recently had the opportunity to travel to Germany with the 10th and 11th grade. Special thanks to Ed and Patrick White for making that happen. It will definitely be sad to part from all of you, but I believe we've been through enough that we will see each other again, and since that, we are almost like family. Thanks to my parents for helping me go to this school, and thanks to all the teachers for putting up with my behavior in your classes. As we turn the page and begin this exciting new chapter, remember that our best days are still ahead of us, the sky is the limit, the world is our oyster, and our future has never looked brighter.
Hello friends, family, and classmates. Throughout my time at school, whether it's been inside or outside of class hours, I've realized that the more time I spend with you, the more I have grown attached to each and every one of you. There's traits I like and traits I dislike, but in all of you, there's beauty. And there's beautiful and unique colors. Colors I've learned to love and colors I've learned to hate. But in every shade, a new hue is born for me to realize the beauty in it. If there's one thing I remember the most from my time here, it was the first time meeting my good friend Ike. At the start of 10th grade and immediately being indoctrinated into the music world. Every day, he would tell me more and more lore about bands like Nirvana and Soundgarden, and being fascinated in the style of life, something that felt so free to me, something new. We first kicked it off when we jammed together for the first time. Not too long ago, we listened back on our first recordings, and he looked at me and said, "Man, we sounded so bad." Through that long change, it has given me proof to the fact that the class I've surrounded myself with for all these years have changed me too, giving me new colors and new shades. I hope all of you surround yourselves with people with amazing colors and strive to achieve all of your goals. Thank you for the wonderful memories, good and bad. I hope never to forget them. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. As I stand here today, I'm reminded of how quickly time passes. I came to the Berkshire Waldorf High School as a sophomore 1.5 years ago, and in what felt like the blink of an eye, my time here became filled with lessons, growth, and meaningful memories. Although I was not in the same class as the seniors graduating today, I have been fortunate to spend the past year and a half learning and growing with the class of 2027. I have enjoyed learning alongside them, sharing classes and everyday moments that make this time meaningful. I'm grateful for the time we have spent together. Today, as we celebrate this milestone, I want to thank everyone who has supported me along the way. To my teachers, thank you for your guidance and encouragement. To my family, thank you for your love and support from afar. To my host family, thank you for welcoming me into your homes and caring for me. To my dearest Holly, thank you for supporting and guiding me in every aspect of my life since the day I met you. And to friends and everyone who supported us along the way, thank you for walking us through this journey. None of us reached this moment alone. As we move forward into the next chapter of our lives, I wish everyone success, happiness, and growth. Congratulations to all of us, and thank you.
if Steve Sagan hadn't given me an opportunity to improve academically and straighten up. That experience taught me a lot of things, but most importantly, gratitude. No achievement in your past or future was or will be guaranteed, so treat it that way, and never forget the people in your life that made it possible for you. I can't mention people in my life without talking about my classmates. Although we all come together as one bright, intense, and hysterical entity, I appreciate every one of you in a different way. In a couple of hours, there will be nothing holding us together besides memories. And we will each create our own unique path forward. My wish for each of you is that you find your passion and that your passion connects you to your purpose. I can't wait to see what lies ahead, and I'm truly grateful to have shared these past years with all of you. I'd like to thank our teachers today for their hard work teaching us, even when we didn't make it easy. Over the past few years, your patience was tested countless times, and the fact that we're here today says something about your persistence and belief in us. Thank you. Finally, to everyone who joined us on this Sunday afternoon to come support us during the last few moments of our high school journey, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Claire Farr, and I'm going to be completely honest. For the longest time, I had no idea what the speech would be about. I didn't know how to encapsulate my memories of my class, the school, my experience, or my feelings on leaving it all behind now. It's a hard task. Then I was told to keep it positive, talk about things I loved, memories I cherished, and I thought, I can work with that. One thing people may not know about me is that I have a deep love for words. Not writing them, to be clear, because getting me to compose an essay or report is like pulling teeth, as various English and literature teachers might know. Sorry, Miss Steer. But more their individual history and roots. This particular branch of word history actually has a name, etymology, which Merriam-Webster defines as the history of a linguistic form such as a word, shown by tracing its development since its earliest recorded occurrence in the language where it is found, by analyzing it into its component parts, or tracing it to its cognates to a common ancestral form in an ancestral language. Even the word etymology has an etymology. It has Greek roots, with its beginning word etymo, or etymon, translating to original meaning, and the end root ology, or logia, translating to the study of. Altogether, it translates to the study of the original meaning or true sense. But enough with the impromptu history English lesson. I'm sure any of the students watching are already sick enough of school. All this thinking about root words had me wondering, what's my class's etymology? What are the ending root words that shape us as a group, such as logia or nomia or metri, measurement? And what are the beginning words that define us as individuals, like taxis or entymo or geo? I can think of a few roots off the top of my head, like tomfoolery, the act of running around in the dark with sticks and flashlights, or putting a real live fish in unexpected locations. Or hardworking, being able to raise all the money that one would need for a senior trip without needing to ask for any additional funding from the school. I had a harder time with the beginning words. What separates us? But in the end, I think I came up with a good list. As individuals, some of you are kind and well-meaning, or resilient and down-to-earth, enthusiastic and bubbly, smart and sarcastic, or intelligent and reserved. I could continue, but again, I don't want to bore anyone with my rambling. As I close this off, I got one final unsolicited comment. The beautiful thing about words and language is how they can change with context, time, or place. The same can be said for us. Our etymology will grow with each passing moment. We'll gain new roots and new beginnings as we learn about the world beyond our current lives. My biggest hope is that however much we might discover and add, we can still keep those roots that we developed as a class. Hardworking and passionate, but still ready to indulge in a little bit of tomfoolery every once in a while. So please smile. A thank you again to all of the teachers, the faculty, the board members, my family, who helped me overcome quite a lot in the last few years, and my friends who did just as much for me, and of course, by extension, my classmates, some of whom I've grown up with since I was 7 years old. And again, I hope you can remember me as fondly as I can remember all of you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rosie Dooley. I'd first like to thank my grandparents for welcoming me into their home and making high school possible, and for giving me all I needed for my education to succeed, along with my parents for always supporting me from back on the farm. I'd also like to thank my sister for being the twin I've always needed, and for going through every big next step until this point with me. And, of course, I'd like to thank my teachers and my class. From the moment I stepped into the school, I started making memories. I remember visiting on Valentine's Day, meeting students who were warm and welcoming despite me being a shy little 13-year-old. I remember meeting my classmates in the fall, being surprised that they were all the same age as me, and we would be spending the next 4 years together. Now I'm sure that I would not have chosen any other class. I spent a lot of time overthinking my first essay, What is Beauty?, not knowing what to say or how to write my ideas. However, by my last essays, I was confident in my writing and ability to express my ideas with only a healthy amount of procrastination. I remember the snap judgments I made about people, good and bad, and how they changed and grew the longer I knew them. For example, I originally thought Fisher would bully me, and I was immediately proven wrong when he came up to my table at orientation and started having a friendly conversation with me. I remember random things, like Forrest looking me straight in the face and saying, "Your eyebrows are exactly the same color as your hair." And then walking away. In ninth grade, most of us would spend lunch and breaks in the grass across from the old school, throwing frisbee or just talking. I remember bonding with Daisy over hypocrisy, how some people would say something outrageous, and then when we responded with something that didn't even remotely compare, we were the weird ones. I remember thinking Lucy had such a cool style, and never having the confidence to say anything, and now I've watched it get even cooler. I remember every little shenanigan my class would engage in, and each trip, from the hike of ninth grade to the great senior trips of 2026. My class has always been causing the best kind of chaos, and I genuinely wouldn't have it any other way. Now it's my last day of high school with all of you. I imagine us like dandelion seeds, all holding onto the base that is high school and the end of childhood, ready to be blown by the wind. Each seed goes its own way, tumbling through unexplored territories, through ups and downs, and eventually settles where it's meant to be, putting its roots down into new soil. I'm going to miss each and every one of you guys, and I'm so excited to see where the wind takes us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alicia Carletti. I don't know how to write a graduation speech, and I believe that is due to a lack of graduation experience. However, I've been attending Waldorf graduations for years, and I would always fantasize about what I'd say when it was my turn up here. Each year, at each graduation, I would imagine myself here, especially shouting a friend out. And each year, that friend would be different because in life, and especially high school, your circles are always shifting. Especially in this past year, my class has grown its own little circle, which includes every single one of us. It's one of the realest friend groups I've been in. We've seen each other in almost every circumstance. Ugly crying, ugly laughing, in our pajamas with insane bedhead, and in our awkward freshman year experimental outfits. My point is that I've never been in such a differing, goofy, and earnest friend group. I know our paths are splitting, but I dearly hope that they continue to cross each other every so often. As for the special shout-outs I've been fantasizing about since I was a freshman, here they are. Thank you to my mom and dad for supporting me and being there when I cry over homework. Thank you to my sister Hazel for letting me vent to you on late night drives, buying me
2 nights ago. Sorry.
Thank you to Eden for giving me the best year ever last year. Thank you to Fiona for helping me find my Disney spark. And finally, in the wise words of Pumbaa, Zazu, Simba, and my favorite karaoke song, Hakuna Matata. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I would like to start by thanking people, just my parents, for every way in which they supported me, and my brother and sister, for both keeping me very humble. All of my other thank yous are in the form of letters, because my speech is a little unconventional. For an assignment for English class, we had to mimic a short story, and I chose one by Margaret Atwood, and it starts with a premise. I'm talking in the third person, so it's a little strange. Fiona is currently at Miss Hall's school. It is her sophomore year, and since last December, she has wanted to switch schools, but is hesitant to. What will she do? For the safest option, choose A. A. Fiona stays at Miss Hall's for her last 2 years of high school. She doesn't have a group of friends, but rather is kind of friends with everyone. She gets good grades, isn't late for class, and spends weekends studying and working. She isn't very happy. She has moments of thinking that she made the right choice, but is left with the thought that she is trying to belong somewhere that she doesn't even want to be. She gets into a college that others deem prestigious and notable. She graduates in May, and during the ceremony looks at her class and realizes that she didn't get to know a single one of them. Option B, Fiona becomes an F1 driver who refuses to turn left. Or option C, Fiona chooses to go to the Berkshire Waldorf High School. Her sister went there, and Fiona never thought she could end up there. She, in fact, spent many family dinners making comments such as, "So Cecilia, is your homework to weave a basket or paint a gnome tonight?" Fiona's very scared of her first day, but she ends up going on a school trip to New York City and stays until 11 p.m. with August, Julian, and Beatrice. She's introduced to the maple latte. She is taught that the best way to avoid PE class is to run ahead and hide on the railroad tracks. Thank you, Fisher and Julian. She tapes up fake security cameras in the faculty room. She plays spike ball in the staff bathroom. Fiona has a lot of fun and realizes something, that she is incredibly happy. Her class teaches her that every single small instance of fun and stupidity matter more than anything else. Fiona looks around at her graduation and is incredibly grateful to have go to school with all of you. I'm very happy to say that I chose option C.
Thank you all. Just in case. Avia Stanton, Berkshire Waldorf High School class of 2012, is also a Waldorf lifer, as they say. And she's a life science, chemistry, and next year, math teacher at our school. The class of 2026 was the first class she ever taught for us back when they were in 10th grade. She's a graduate of Westfield State University. She's the mother of 2 young children, Charlotte and Mia. Ms. Stanton has developed a remarkable relationship with this class since she arrived at our school. She knows them well. As one of them told me recently, Ms. Stanton gets us. In context, that is high praise in a few words. The class loves her and was delighted to ask her to speak to them today as they leave high school for the wider world. Please welcome Avia Stanton.
Good afternoon, everyone. Class of 2026. It is a real honor to stand with you here today. When you asked me to speak at your graduation, you didn't send a formal email, you didn't ask casually in the hallway, you made a poster. You got the faculty involved, you organized the timing, you turned a simple question into an event. I came in expecting some kind of serious senior question, and instead I found you lined up together, visibly pleased with yourselves, holding a brightly colored poster. The way you asked me to speak today says something about your class. You are not subtle when you want something. That was a wildly unfair way to ask someone to speak at your graduation. Of course, 10th grade inorganic chemistry, which was also my first seminar I taught here. So in a real way, we've learned together. Since then, I have taught you evolution, genetics, zoology, biochemistry, and we have spent time together in class trips. When I look back, I don't only think about the topics you covered, I think about the kind of attention those experiences asked of you. At its best, science asks you to look closely before coming to conclusions, to make careful observations, to let evidence change your mind, and be willing to act on what you know. Again and again, you have learned to let observations come before certainty, to notice what influences change, to see that nothing stands completely alone, to trust that what you cannot see can still have visible consequences. I've seen you practice that in your work, in your questions, and in how you've grown. Recently, one of you asked me who I thought had changed the most since I met you in 10th grade. I found that almost impossible to answer, not because no one had changed, but because all of you had. You have not become different people, but you have become more responsible, more independent, and more secure. Not because you have everything figured out, but because you don't have to pretend that you do. That is real transformation. Not perfection, but growth in your ability to receive help, recover from mistakes, recognize other people's strength, and live honestly. I have seen you be brilliant. I've also seen you be challenging in the exact ways that made you interesting to teach. I've seen you be hilarious when I needed you to be quiet. I have seen you make things harder than they needed to be. Over time, I came to see what was underneath the disruption: curiosity, intelligence, loyalty, humor, and a fierce refusal to be bored by life. I have seen you produce beautiful, careful academic work. I have also seen some of you avoid schoolwork and then spend hours doing something difficult because you actually cared about it. Fixing cars in the school parking lot or taping Christmas lights to a classmate's car with a level of dedication that, frankly, I would have loved to see in all of your seminar work. You are talented. You know how to work hard. You know how to throw yourselves into something when it feels real, practical, shared, funny, useful, or yours. And when that happens, you give your whole selves to it. You have become curious and thoughtful observers. You ask real questions. You want evidence. You want to solve problems. You want to know what is true and what is useful and what is worth taking seriously. Protect that. It will serve you well. I have seen you ask for help, revise, redo, try again, and take your own work seriously after first resisting it. It takes more strength to try again after something has not gone well than to get it right the first time. All of that changes how you live, how you learn to meet the world with honesty, attention, and responsibility. The work ahead of you is to carry your aliveness responsibly. Let your energy become focus. Let your humor become connection. Let your intensity become courage. And let your fierce refusal to be bored by life become a refusal to sleepwalk through it. At the beginning of the year, we went to Herman Island, Maine during the zoology seminar. There you observed life at the boundary between land and sea. At the end of the year, you chose to return to Maine for your senior trip, which I had the privilege of chaperoning. This time you stood at a different boundary, between the school life that has formed you and the wider world that will now ask something of you. You worked hard to fundraise, plan, and get yourselves there, and once you were there, you had to do the actual work of being responsible for yourselves and each other. Cooking meals, cleaning up, making decisions, solving small problems, and apparently visiting the grocery store as many times as humanly possible. I think you could feel that you were still together, but already near the end of something. The trip was full of stories, laughter, dancing, and singing, and underneath all that, something was beginning to change. Graduation is not only a finish line. It is a little, but it also feels like walking out of a room before you be ready to leave. You get to celebrate this huge accomplishment, and at the same time, you can feel the life that you shared together, the life that made this moment possible, beginning to change. That's probably how it should feel. You're not leaving here finished. That's good. Finished things don't grow. Living things keep changing. Moving on from something that has shaped you deserves attention. It asks you to notice what is changing and what is worth taking with you. Attention takes courage. Attention is how you hear the question underneath somebody's words. It is how you notice what is worth protecting. It is how you begin to understand what is being asked of you. If you do not choose where to give your attention, the world will choose for you. Much of the world around you is built not only to distract you, but to shape what you notice and how you respond, to keep you scrolling, reacting, comparing, performing, consuming, and moving too quickly to notice what is true. Being stimulated is not the same as being awake. There's a difference between reacting to everything around you and being present for your own life. In that kind of world, your attention is freedom. It is also responsibility. What you notice, what you ignore, and what you choose to serve will shape not only your life, but the lives around you. Not every force that acts on you deserves to shape you. Do not confuse having options with having direction. Do not confuse being impressive with being useful. And do not confuse having an opinion with thinking. Thinking is slower than that. Thinking asks something of you. It requires accurate observation, patience, humility, and courage. It requires the honesty to say, I was wrong, I don't understand yet, or I need to look again. And when you know what is true, thinking must become action. Attention is not passive. It's how you choose what is allowed to shape you. So this is what I ask of you. Do not let the world decide what deserves your attention. Pay attention to what is true, especially when it would be easier not to. Pay attention when things are changing, because that is often when life is asking something from you. Pay attention to what is worth protecting. Pay attention to what your choices make possible and what they make harder than they need to be. And pay attention to the work that is yours to do. Because what you give your attention to will shape what you love. What you love will shape what you serve. And what you serve will shape who you become. When you asked me to stand here today, you told me that you loved me as your teacher. I want you to know this. I have loved being your teacher. Not because it was always easy, it wasn't, but because teaching you has changed the way I pay attention to. So as you leave, take that with you. Keep looking closely, keep wondering, keep changing without losing yourself, and keep becoming people who can recognize what's true, love what is good, and do the work that is yours to do. Congratulations, class of 2026.
not-so-good street, and you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there, things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stoop. Just go right along, you'll start